time for Prime Business with me, Beverly Broohm. We take a look at our first story now as the National Petroleum Authority has revoked the licenses of some 30 oil marketing companies. In a statement released by the authority, the action was taken due to non-compliance by the OMCs with rules and regulations on acquisition and maintenance of their licenses. The NPA went further to warn the general public against engaging the said companies. Here's more.
To do with the non-payment of license fee, for example. The license comes with a certain fee. And when the license is being granted, it is granted with the assumption that the fees would actually be paid. If the fee is not paid, the license can actually be revoked. If you look again at, I think, Section 12 of the MTA Act, it specifies a certain regulation that a body corporate or an individual would need to meet to be able to qualify to have the license. And so at any time that we determine that any of the set rules or conditions have not actually been adhered to, or what has actually been reported to us does not turn out to be the case, we have that capacity to get back at you and revoke your license. And mind you, before we do that, we normally would write to you and then give you the opportunity to defend your case. And all of these OMCs have actually been duly written to, and the revocation of their licenses is actually in order. We have a team that is actually working on this, and any OMC that owes us any amount of money, even when the license is revoked, you still would have to pay the money, or else the necessary actions will be taken. I can tell you on authority that we've actually made a very good account on tracing some of these OMCs to recover the money that they owe the authority. And we certainly are not going to relent on that. We'll continue to go after them.
Meanwhile, energy strategist Dr. Isib Suleiman has commended the NPA for its efforts to bring some sanity into the industry.
Positive move, like I said, is indeed a positive move. In fact, knowing NPA, I've studied NPA especially in recent years, and I think they did creditably well in terms of how the ability to sanitize the environment, I mean the market, especially the downstream, and when it comes to compliance with respect to, especially apart from this renewal of licenses, I was much particular about safety bridges, and I think they are much on the ground to be able to ensure that, I mean, this kind of bridges are not, breaches are not continued in perpetuity. And so I see that as a positive move, and also it's good that they serve that kind of a warning to marketers, I mean, to other individuals who might be able to, who will also be mindful in terms of dealing with that. Mind you, because they are the regulators, while they are protecting the consumers, they also have the interests of OMCs at heart. So I'm sure taking these actions is actually to the best interest of the entire market in totality, so that once the market is sanitized and we know how many active members are actually into the business, then I think that should be a way to go. And like I mentioned first, my recommendation to the affected OMCs will be that they can team up together. There's no problem if they are not able to meet up the capital required to be able to champion the business, because it's becoming very competitive. Why don't they join forces together, you know, to be able to compete into the market? Because at the end of the day, the more competition, you know, the better the pricing at the pumps. And for a consumer, if there's much competition, I think that's much better.
Away from the NPA, the World Bank is warning Ghana and some sub-Saharan African countries that government debt distress would have large diverse spillovers on growth and financial stability, where banks are heavily exposed to sovereign debts. That's according to its January 2023 Global Economic Prospects Report. Here's more.
The World Bank cautioned Ghana, Kenya, and Sierra Leone in particular against the adverse effects of the financial challenges on their economies due to their worsening debt situation. It stressed that increased non-concessional borrowing in the sub-Saharan African region could cause a sharp rise in the debt service cost if global interest rates keep rising. Ghana is already undergoing a debt restructuring, which has come under opposition particularly from holders of Government of Ghana bonds whose bonds are being restructured. This is a prerequisite for a necessary International Monetary Fund support program. The World Bank further said the baseline projections remain subject to multiple downside risks amid continuing uncertainty about the war in Ukraine, the degree of global and domestic monetary tightening that will be needed to subdue inflation, among others. It concluded that commodity prices may drop further than assumed if growth in major economies falls short of projections.
Meanwhile, the World Bank is warning that the Ghana cedi may continue to come under pressure this year against the dollar. This, the World Bank says, may occur if efforts are not directed at controlling the country's current account deficit to a sustainable level. The caution was captured in the World Bank's latest Global Economic Prospects report. Here's another report.
The World Bank in the report maintained that the development presents government an opportunity to take some extra measures to manage the current account deficit for this year. This is to ensure that things doesn't get out of hand in the coming months. The bank argued that there might be the need to institute policies that will boost exports, a move that may go a long way to check the larger current account deficit whilst controlling the larger imports. The bank believes that introducing some of these actions, together with policies aimed at checking inflation in the coming months, will help in stabilizing the economy and deal with some of these threats that would impact negatively on the local currency. The warning from the World Bank is coming at a time that the Ghana cedi has started feeling the first quarter pressure, now getting into the 12 Ghana cedi range to a dollar, even for some of the major commercial banks. There are fears that if Ghana is not able to secure an IMF deal by the end of the first quarter of this year or latest in the second quarter, then things might not be really good for the local currency going forward, as well as the larger economy. According to the 2023 budget, the current account deficit the first 9 months of 2022 was estimated at $1.83 billion, compared to $1.86 billion in 2021.
Let's do some other stories now. In more than 4,700 locally assembled vehicles have been sold for the local market and exported to other African markets since the development of an automobile policy in Ghana. This is a positive achievement from some of the major automobile giants who began assembling in the country, namely VW, Toyota and Kantanka. This was revealed by the Automobile Assemblers Association of Ghana in a ceremony to inaugurate the Automotive Development Council.
The Automobile Development Council is part of the flagship initiatives by the government under the Ministry of Trade and Industry to support the assembling of vehicles in the country to support local job creation. According to outgoing Minister for Trade and Industry, Alan Tremantain, government is keen on creating the enabling environment for the sector. He believes the establishment of the council couldn't have come at a better time after government invested about $8 million into the facility.
Ghana is serious about becoming the manufacturing hub for auto, at least in West Africa. And that is why government has invested an amount of over $8 million to acquire this facility to ensure that under one roof, the ecosystem to support this industry is present and provided.
According to the president of the Automotive Assemblers Association of Ghana, Jeffrey Opong Pepra, this is a strong indication that Ghana's automobile industry has come to stay, since industry players have so far sold more than 4,700 vehicles that were locally assembled.
Since the introduction of the Ghana automotive industry, that is the latter part of 2019, 2020, COVID, and then I said in my speech, to date we have 4,700 vehicles already assembled and pushed into the Ghanaian market, as well as also some gone for export to neighboring countries such as Ivory Coast and Senegal. So these are the numbers we have done so far, and this constitutes over 9.7% of our new car market numbers, because From statistics, Ghana, we have a new car market or a car park of about 12,000 at the moment, but we have already produced or assembled 4,700 units.
The minister also sworn into office the 29 members of the council drawn from various stakeholder groups.
Now, Amarula, produced in South Africa, is a common alcoholic beverage that has gained recognition around the world. The main ingredient for the well-acclaimed beverage is the Amarula plant, which is also known as the elephant tree or the marriage tree. But did you know that the Amarula plant is a common plant found in the northern part of Ghana? Here's Martina Bugre's report.
The Amarula plant is native to the 5 regions of the north. Over the years, the leaves and the plants have been used largely to feed animals. Even though it has great economic potential, little has been done to tap its benefit. It has remained a plant just at the community level, but countries like Burkina Faso and South Africa are exporting the fruit and its final produce. Meet Professor Felix Kofi Abagali, project lead and director of the West Africa Center for Water, Irrigation and Sustainable Agriculture of the University for Development Studies, who talks about the economic and nutritional benefit of the Amarula plant.
It gives those who consume it a lot of nutrient benefits in terms of minerals, vitamins, and it has antioxidant properties, as well as also giving us some medicinal uses that we can use it for in our local communities. Aside that, there are some economic benefits which are not well explored in our part of the world, especially its use in the brewery industry for the production of what is commonly called Amarula, which is produced in South Africa and then exported widely across the globe. The seeds are actually also used in some oil extraction that's it's used in many industrial and pharmaceutical companies. It can actually be used to support our economic growth, especially in the north. And so it is an export crop or tree product, but the less has been said about it.
He said the tree can be cultivated in large quantities and it takes just 7 years to mature.
The problem is that at first the local people didn't know the benefits of the tree, and that is why we are undertaking this climate resilience project, to be able to bring to fore the benefits of the tree and its uses in the community. And to propagate it is easily done by seed, and we are trying to see whether we can do the true cuttings in the laboratory to be able to increase the population in our society.
Wawisa UDS is currently running a project in the Kunungu district of the northern region to sustain the tree. Would government pay attention to this promising export and a tree in the northern sector? For Joy News, Martina Bugri reporting.
On that note, we end business tonight. Thank you so much for your company. For more news, you can log on to myjoyonline.com/business. My name is Beverly Broohm, and I